You turned off the microphone. You know that? I know you didn't actually do it, but I'm gonna blame you anyway. Now, I am a child at heart, and I've been watching a lot of SpongeBob lately. And I remember certain shows that I was allowed to watch because I had fairly liberal JW parents. My dad wasn't really a JW, but like he left like shortly after I was born. But when I would go to like the Kingdom Hall, or I'd be hanging out with JW friends or whatever as a kid, and I would mention these shows that I would watch, most of them would be like, I'm not allowed to watch that show. And I'd be confused because I was allowed to watch pretty much anything as long as it wasn't Halloween or Christmas based. Like, my parents didn't really care. The one show that was like completely banned from my viewing sessions was The Simpsons, which I never considered The Simpsons a kid's show to begin with. So adult cartoons in general were off of the please don't hit buttons. He's laying on the keyboard. I know you can't see, but today I thought that we would do a tier list of shows that JW families would either find JW friendly or JW not friendly. Let me just show you what the tier list is. So at the top here we have JW friendly. So these would be shows that most every JW family would be okay with their kid watching. Strict JW parents would ban means it's a show that only JW families that are very, very strict would find objectionable for their little beans. Some JW parents would ban is, you know, the in-between. But some JW families would find objectionable for their little beans, and others would probably not. So it's our in-between. That's why it's pale orange. And most JW parents would ban, of course, means mostly off limits for JW kids. And then finally, not JW friendly. So this is like, no episodes are okay for their kids. They have it completely off the list. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're not likely to find a JW family, except for maybe mine, who would be okay with this show. And to narrow down, because I know that there are a lot of cartoons in the world, we are sticking to exclusively Nickelodeon shows and exclusively shows that aired when I was a little bean. So shows that I either watched or at least saw commercials for and knew of their existence, and therefore my parents knew of their existence most likely, and my friends' parents, you know, generational thing. I'm not doing any of the new shows that I have not seen and know nothing about. Another thing that I am excluding is any spin-offs. I have a couple exceptions to that rule. The exceptions to the rule would be Angela Anaconda, which was technically a spin-off from Kablam since it originally aired on there. And Jimmy Neutron is another one that I am not considering a spin-off for the sake of this tier list, because when you say, oh, did you watch Jimmy Neutron as a kid, you're probably not talking about the movie. You're probably talking about the show. It was, in my opinion, far more known for the show than it was for the movie, even though the movie was fantastic. So, let's get on to the tier list, shall we? The first up is Angela Anaconda, and I do not remember this show, except for the fact that I was obsessed with how terrifying it was. I mean, just look at this.
Lunch is missing something that it is definitely missing. Ketchup! 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 Excusez-moi?
Are you farting? Hold on. She's being very cute, and she's not letting anybody see it. You cannot hide from us any longer, Domino. She's got both paws in her mouth. Look at that. Look at that bean right there. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing objectionable about Angela Anaconda, based off of what I've seen about it. I am going to place Angela Anaconda in the strict JW parents would ban, because it's kind of creepy and it's really annoying. Next up, we had Angry Beavers. Now, JW parents are kind of weird with the things that they ban and the things that they will not ban. Now, for the most part, things that they would ban would include, like, magic or homosexuality, which back then wasn't really popular in cartoons. Supernatural themes. But for the most part, if it didn't involve those big three, they were okay with it. But I did know some very strict JW parents who were not okay with the idea of talking animals because it reminded them of Satan. Specifically in Genesis, in which Satan becomes a snake and then tricks Eve, even though the Bible never confirms that the snake was in fact Satan. It just says a snake did its thing. It's just sort of assumed. So based off of that, I would say for Angry Beavers, strict JW parents would ban. The next one is As Told by Ginger. Now, this was a boring show from what I can remember. It was just like the average life of a preteen girl, but in a cartoon form. And it felt like we already had that in so many live action shows that did not need to be a cartoon. But I know that a lot of kids liked it. I was not one of them. I did not relate. As Told by Ginger for me was the show that I would put on in the background while I was waiting for another show to come on. But other than that, to my remembrance, there wasn't any magic, there wasn't any homosexuality, there wasn't any supernatural elements. It was just a slice of life cartoon, which I would say is pretty JW friendly. So we're going to be putting As Told by Ginger in the JW friendly tier. The next one is Avatar: The Last Airbender. So Avatar is a show that I was allowed to watch as a kid. I wasn't terribly into it. It kind of blew over my head. I liked very silly, sort of slapsticky things that still had a story, and Avatar was just a bit too grown up for me at the time. But I do think it's a good show. It is my husband's, or one of my husband's favorite shows. But I know that when I would go to, say, my cousin, who is a JW's family's house, and Avatar was on, I wouldn't mind watching it, but she would immediately be like, oh, we have to turn that off because there's magic in it. Which I guess, yeah, the elemental power, whatever, is considered magic to, especially to a JW parent. So we're going to be putting that in the most JW parents would ban list, because I think that some JW parents would be okay with it, just as some JW parents are okay with Star Wars, but it's going to be rare that you find a JW family who's okay with Avatar. The next is Cat Scratch. Cat Scratch. I did not like this show. I did not realize that it was about 3 cats. I thought it was about 3 little demons, especially that black one. That black one looks just like a demon. I only remember the beginning because of the newts. So yes, I was remembering correctly. The beginning of Cat Scratch does open with a bunch of newts singing, and that was the only part of the show. Oh, I'm looking over here. That was the only part of the show that I would watch, was the theme song, because I really liked like lizards and newts and cute things like that. But I didn't actually watch the show because I didn't like cats. But I'm again going to place it in the strict JW parents would ban for the sake of, number 1, talking cats. And number 2, that one cat looks like a demon, so I think that some very strict JW parents would also be like, you're not watching that show about them demon cats. That's not cool. No, little Billy, you can't watch Cat Scratch. There's a freaking demon in it. Demons. And they talk. They're gonna influence you, Billy. Next one is CatDog. I loved CatDog when I was a kid. I don't remember much about it, just like I don't remember much about Angry Beavers, but I really liked it. I remember spending whole episodes wondering how they pooped. Like, did it come out the dog's mouth, or did it come out the cat's mouth? When dog ate, did it come out cat's mouth? And when cat ate, did it come out dog's mouth? Because, that'd be disturbing.
Get the fuck out of here.
And there's apparently been whole essays on how they poop. So I'm clearly not the only one who spent a lot of time trying to figure out how CatDog took a shit. But again, I would say for the most part, it's pretty JW friendly. Not much going on, except it's a horrific amalgamation of a cat and a dog mixed together. And I would again say only strict JW parents would ban this. The next is ChalkZone, which I admittedly didn't watch much of. But I remember the basics of what it was about. Some kid had a chalk, and I think the chalk... Was the chalk magical? If the chalk was magical, that's a problem. Okay, from what I watched of the theme song, it did not teach me anything, except it does look like the chalk is magic. And also, this 12-year-old girl looks like a 30-year-old teacher. But other than that, it looks pretty harmless from what I can see. There's no talking animals, there's no demons, but there is magic chalk. So I'm gonna put this in the middle. I would say some JW parents would ban it. Next up was my favorite show when I was a little bean. Well, one of my favorites. I had many favorites, but this was one of the favorites. And I mean, like, my first big obsession with a TV show character, Danny Phantom. Fun fact, he was also my very second crush. My first crush was Sonic the Hedgehog. I have a thing for guys with crazy hair. What can I say? But this was also a show that no JW kid that I met was able to watch. Their family was like straight up, nope, Phantom, Supernatural, get it out of here. So that's pretty much a straight not JW friendly. Next up is Doug, another show that I was just not into as a kid. But I knew of it, and I knew that my family was okay with it, and I knew that other JW families were pretty much okay with it, because it was another, like, slice of life show to my knowledge. And the dog did not talk. Wait, did the dog talk? Dog did not talk in Doug. So, I would say based off of it being about kids and school and just life, and not having any magic or supernatural elements here in the front. What is the word? Like, first and foremost, I would say Doug is a JW-friendly kid show. Next up is El Tigre, which I liked El Tigre when I was younger. I wasn't too crazy about it. I had the video game, actually. I had the DS video game. So I might have been a bigger fan of it than I'm letting on to even myself. The only thing that I would say a JW family would call objectionable about it would be the fact that it's about, like, wrestling, which is violence, which is bad. unless it's, you know, non-believers exclusively being killed violently in a JW drama. But we're not going to talk about that today. I'm going to put this again in the strict JW parents would ban list. Next up is Fairly Odd Parents. And I know for a fact that there were JW families who were not okay with this. For one, they would always misunderstand the title. They would think that it was the fairy god parents, and for some reason, JW parents, both the stricter ones and the not so strict ones, were not okay with the term godparent. Not only that, but they were fairies, which is magic, which is bad. So I would say some JW parents would ban Fairly Odd Parents. The next one is, oh god, Fanboy and Chum. Now, I knew families who banned this show strictly because it's ugly. And we'll get to another one like that in a moment. But, yeah, this show was really, really ugly and really, I don't know. I knew a kid, he was my cousin as well. I have a lot of cousins. And he watched it, and his family was a more strict JW family. So, to my knowledge, since they're not actually superheroes, they're not actually superheroes, are they? Okay, so Fanboy and Chum themselves are apparently non-magical, and everything is strictly in their imagination. But this horrible amalgamation of everything wrong with mankind is actually a real wizard. So there is actually magic in this horrific show. So on top of it just being really, really ugly, it also had real magic in it. So I would say some JWs would parent this. Some JW parents would be objectioned. Why can I not talk today? Have you taken away my words? Some JW parents would ban this show. Next up is Hey Arnold. We're getting a little refresher here. So, Hey Arnold was not a favorite of mine when I was a kid, but I did like it and I would watch it. And now I have a more of an appreciation for it and the topics it dealt with, because it dealt with real world topics, but in a much funner way than some other slice of life cartoons did, I would say. And for that, you know, I would say it's a pretty good show. And a lot of kids really liked it. There was no magic. There was no there was no talking animals. There was no supernatural elements. Yeah, I don't think there was any supernatural elements. At least not here in, like, up in the front. I can't figure out the word that I'm looking for when I say that. Hey Arnold, I would say is a JW. Hey Arnold, I would say is a JW friendly cartoon. The next one is Invader Zim. And this is a tricky one because while there's not technically magic, from what I can remember, it was just like a science fiction-y show, at least. It was about this little alien dude and a little robot dude, and alien was trying to take over the world. Now, I've been really overusing the strict JW parents would ban line, although it makes sense because strict JW parents would ban a lot of things. I would still say that some JW parents would find this objectionable for reasons other than magic or supernatural.
This has to stop!
I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
Look at you! You've gone too far! You're a hideous blob of stolen organs!
I've been working out.
I guess technically aliens do count as supernatural, at least until we can confirm that they exist. So I'm actually going to put Invader Zim for its aliens and general grossness at times in the some JW parents would ban category. Next up is Jimmy Neutron. I really liked Jimmy Neutron as a kid. It had some parts that were creepy, I guess, to other kids, like the pizza episode. I remember I had a friend who was allowed to watch Jimmy Neutron, but not the pizza episode, because it was a demonic pizza, even though I think it was just in a dream, right? Yeah, it was just like a dream, but, you know, it was still showing a demonic pizza, and therefore that was not okay. But that alone, I would not say puts it in the strict JW parents would ban only category. For the most part, it was about a kid who made things and everything was scientifically explained within the cartoon world. So I would say that Jimmy Neutron, based on its science and non-paranormal, non-supernatural... Oh wait, there were aliens. There were aliens in it. But, unlike Invader Zim, the aliens were not first and foremost, at least not in this show. In the movie they were. So, this is a tricky one. I'm going to put Jimmy Neutron in the JW friendly category, and if you disagree, you can let me know in the comments. By the way, this might be a good time to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe if you are willing and able. It would really help me grow the channel. I have been trying to grow this channel for a while. It would just be appreciated. So, thank you. Next up is Kablam. Now, Kablam, I never really watched. To my knowledge, it was a skit show. So, it depended on the skits featured in the show, I guess. I know that some shows got their start on Kablam and later went on to become full series. I also never knew that one of these characters was a girl. And just looking at them, I still don't remember which one it is. I think it was the blue-haired one. I think. But way to go for 90s Nicktoons to be breaking gender stereotypes. Like, honestly, I can't tell what their genders are. So I'm going to say for Kablam, since it depends on the skits and I don't remember the skits that were shown, I would put it in the some JW parents would ban, because it depends on the episode, depends what's featured in the episode. I think it's a very dynamic show that could definitely have stuff that is questionable. Next up is Making Fiends. I remember this show as a kid, but I do not actually remember any episodes until I was a teenager and I rewatched it with a friend of mine. Making Fiends is literally about a little girl and her not friend, Vendetta, I think. Charlotte and Vendetta. And Vendetta doesn't like Charlotte. She hates Charlotte. So she tries to, I think, kill her. I think she tries to kill her. Does she try to kill her? Okay, so yeah, it's about a unnaturally friendly little girl and another little girl who, the first little girl, Charlotte, wants to befriend Vendetta. And Vendetta tries to get back at this friendliness by making fiends to try and murder Charlotte. I would argue that most JW families would find this show objectionable for murder and magic. So, yeah. Or at least attempted murder, but can't go too far with the murder in a kid's show. And we return to hell with Mr. Meaty.
I'm real in your head. Oh yeah, come on. Come on, baby. Oh, she'll get tired. Don't worry, Parker. Yeah.
Mr. Meaty is a really ugly, not cartoon. I made an exception because I really hate this show. I've actually never seen an episode of this show, but it did not need to be banned for me to not want to watch it. It's just terrifying. Who thought that this was okay? Who thought this was okay? For children. For anybody. This should be banned. And it was thankfully canceled. What, did it get like 1 season? This horrific abomination to mankind got 4 seasons. I am mad because Inside Job, which was not a kid's cartoon and was not aired on Nickelodeon and has nothing to do with any of this, it's just purely part of this rant, got 1 season. It got 1 2-part season before Netflix canned it. And then this abomination got 4 seasons. I don't know how. There is no justice in the world. There is none. There is none. No justice. Anyway, Mr. Meaty was intentionally gross, really, really gross, and I knew a lot of both strict and not strict families who banned gross things exclusively because they were gross. I would not say. I would even say that some non-JW families banned this show in their household because of how absolutely hideous and disgusting and terrifying it is. So, if you showed this to a JW family and you were like, would you let your kids watch this? I would say most of them would say no. So, based off of how absolutely atrocious it is, I would say most JW parents would ban this in their household. It is an abomination. I don't want to look at it anymore. Next up is Mighty B, which I watched some episodes of. I wasn't that crazy about it. It's about a little Girl Scout. I think she's a Girl Scout. And she wants to get all of her Girl Scout badges. So, yeah, I just watched a quick clip of Mighty B because I honestly did not remember almost anything about it. It looks pretty innocent, and at least from a JW parent's perspective, who might not be watching the show with their kid, I would say it's pretty JW friendly. The dog doesn't talk. It's about a little girl just doing things and being nice. So I would say Mighty B is a completely JW friendly cartoon. Next up is My Dad the Rockstar. I really liked this show when I was a kid. Until I had a nightmare in which the dad was drowning me in a toilet. Turns out I was just sleeping on the pillow wrong and I was suffocating myself in my sleep. But that dream stuck with me and I never watched the show again because it scared me. So, My Dad the Rockstar is about a kid and his dad is a rock star. That's pretty much, yeah. I think the only thing objectionable about it would be the rock star lifestyle that it clearly promotes according to, you know, a strict JW parent. But other than that, I don't think there's any magic. I don't think there's anything supernatural about it. You could argue that the dad is satanic to some extent because he wears makeup. You could argue that as a strict JW parent. I would say it's not necessarily completely JW friendly, but a strict JW parent would probably not be okay with it. Next up is a show called Pelswick, which I have never seen and never heard of until I started making this list and I was looking for cartoons. From what I have researched about it, it's just about a kid in a wheelchair and he's living life. To my knowledge, it's a slice of life show. And you know what? Let me go look at some clips, and I'll be back with you. I'll be back with my rating of Pelswick. Okay, so I've just watched most of an episode of Pelswick for the sake of this video. There is a guardian angel character, so that might be offensive to some very strict JW parents. But ultimately, it looks like a very, very cute, very fun show, and I might actually go and watch a bit more of it after this video is done, because it looks adorable. I'm going to put this in the strict JW parents would ban because of the sake of the guardian angel. The rest of it is honestly pretty friendly for all ages and religious groups. Next one is Real Monsters, which I didn't watch much of as a kid because it terrified me, and I mean, look at it. But number one, Tim Curry was in it, so that's pretty cool. I really didn't know any kids who watched this either. It's about monsters, so that's supernatural right for you. And it's... I don't remember if it has any magical elements. I'm 100% sure, or at least 99% sure that it did, though. So it's got that against it, too. I'm actually going to put All Real Monsters in the not JW friendly category. Ren and Stimpy. Now... my dad, I think, liked Ren and Stimpy a lot. I liked it a little bit. Put it this way. I've seen most of it, and I do not like it. I think it's kind of creepy. Some episodes are okay. I also watched the adult party cartoon, and that was just bad. Like, really, really bad. And in fact, when I was a kid, I actually thought that this was an adult cartoon to begin with, just because of how gross it can be. And I knew that definitely some JW parents were not okay with their kids watching this show for one reason or another. It was just weird, and I can't say that there was anything specifically wrong with it. I just know that it put a lot of parents on edge in my remembrance. I could be wrong, but I'm just going to put this in the some JW parents would ban category. Next up is Rocket Power. I must confess, I did not care for Rocket Power at all. Just like As Told by Ginger, it was one of those shows that I put on and to wait for the next show that was coming on. It was not one that I would actually sit down and watch. But does anybody else think that this one kid looks like a child version of Carl from Up? I mean, I know we see the child version of Carl from Up, and he's not blonde, but he looks a lot like him to me. I don't know. I just didn't like this show. But this is not a tier list about what I like personally. This is a tier list about what is JW friendly or not. And a bunch of kids running around on skateboards and doing cool stunts and stuff doesn't seem all that off to at least most JW families. So I'm going to say that Rocket Power is a JW friendly cartoon. And now on to Rocco's Modern Life. I also did not watch any of this as a kid. In fact, I've never seen a single episode. The only part of Rocco's Modern Life that I have seen is the movie that was on Netflix, the revival, in which I don't remember his name, but one of the characters comes out as trans, which I thought was pretty cool. So if we're talking about that, the movie at least, and that character coming out as a trans woman, I would say it's not JW friendly. But in the show, I don't think that there was anything wrong except for the whole, talking animal thing. Wrong according to JW standards, of course. I'm not saying that a trans character coming out is wrong. Clearly, if you know anything about me, you know I wouldn't be objected to that. I wouldn't be objected to that. I wouldn't find that objectionable. So I would say, again, strict JW parents would probably ban this, but I don't think well, actually, if we're counting the movie as part of the show, we might put it in the some JW parents would ban, because I know for a fact that there are JW families who are not okay with the trans character. So, yeah, we're going to put this in the some pile. Next up is Rugrats. I loved Rugrats when I was a kid. I still love Rugrats now, especially the earlier seasons. The later seasons were meh, but the earlier episodes, oh my gosh. Great show. A+ show right here. And my grandma, who was a JW but not super strict, I mean, she loved supernatural stuff. She loved aliens. She loved The Fly. She loved Beetlejuice. Like, my grandma went hardcore. She was cool. And she loved the Rugrats. She also really loved Dora. She loved that a show was out that was teaching kids about Spanish, and she always put it on for me when I was a kid. But she also always had Rugrats on for me too, because she knew that I loved it and she loved it too. And you know what? Rugrats, aside from the holiday specials, of course, which every show has holiday specials, was pretty JW friendly. I had plenty of friends who also watched Rugrats, watched the movies, watched some of the specials, I guess. Everything in the show was in the kids' imagination. So it was therefore all completely okay, pretty much. So, yeah. I'm going to put Rugrats in JW friendly. Next up is SpongeBob. My mom hated SpongeBob. She says she still hates SpongeBob. When I was telling her about how I've been rewatching SpongeBob, she was like, oh, good Lord. And my grandma, now, this is a vivid memory of mine. I just want to share with you. When SpongeBob first premiered, my grandma, for some reason, maybe it's because I was excited about it, but she made like this big deal about the premiere. She had everybody in the living room sit down to watch the premiere of SpongeBob. And I look back at that and I'm like, that was really cool of Grandma. She loved SpongeBob. I loved SpongeBob. And I didn't know too many families who were who would find SpongeBob objectionable, because it's a pretty friendly show. I guess you could say there's some magical elements, and of course there are talking animals. So I am again going to put this in the strict JW parents would ban, because I think that SpongeBob for the most part is completely fine, especially to most JW families nowadays. But you will find JW families who are objections. You will find some JW families who just don't like it for their kids. Next up is a great show that is well loved by millions all around the world. Tak and the Power of Juju. I never watched this show. I never had any interest in this show. The moment it would come on, I'd turn it off, switch it to the next channel. Fun fact, at my Best Buy in my hometown, or where I'm living currently, there is a copy of the Tak and the Power of Juju video game for the DS, and it's been there probably since that game came out. And every time we go there, it's just in a different spot, and it's probably never going to be bought. I would be surprised if it's even on like their system anymore, but it's still there. Okay, so yeah, not only is it ugly and probably really annoying, but watching the theme song alone, I could count many things that any JW family would find objectionable about this show. So there's magic, there's supernatural, it's creepy and weird, and I don't like it at all. I know a lot of kids, maybe not a lot of kids, I know some kids liked this show, and if you did, good on you. You have a high tolerance for creepy things, in my opinion. I'm going to say most JW parents would not be okay with Tak and the Power of Juju. In fact, actually, I'm going to put it a little lower just because I hate this show. I'm going to put in not JW friendly at all. Next up is My Life as a Teenage Robot. I liked this show as a kid. I It kind of reminded me of Kim Possible in some ways, and I really liked Kim Possible a lot. Which, by the way, I would not say Kim Possible was necessarily JW friendly, but we're not talking about Disney shows today. My Life as a Teenage Robot, was it objectionable? Well, she was a superhero, but she was a robot, so she was designed to be a superhero. But did she fight supernatural things? That is what I do not remember. Okay, so yeah, she did fight, like, aliens and I guess supernatural things. So some JW parents might find that objectionable. Next up is the X's. Yeah, the X's, which I don't even think ran for that long. Also known as Totally Not the Incredibles. Okay, so some violence, some supernatural elements. Other than that, seems pretty okay. I'm going to rate this one similarly to My Life as a Teenage Robot. I would say some JW parents would find the X's objectionable. Tough Puppy, another show I literally know nothing about except for the fact that it was made by Butch Hartman. His name is Butch Hartman, right? I keep wanting to call him Phil Hartman for some reason. But I don't know if Phil Hartman is a person, or at least not a famous, like, creator or actor or whatever. Is Phil Hartman a person? I'll put the answer right here if he is or not. So it just looked kind of crude. I guess you could argue there's violence and there's talking animals, of course. So I want to rate this closer to some JW parents would ban, but I don't think that it's necessarily some. I think more would be okay with it, so I'm going to put it under strict. Next up is Wild Thornberries, which was another one of my absolute favorites growing up. I dragged my mom to see the movie. I died when they had a crossover with the Rugrats. That Rugrats Go Wild is an amazing movie. I might have to watch it when I'm done here. Super fun show. Does have magical elements though, because Eliza was basically gifted the power to speak with animals. So while the animals themselves are not just talking and the animals themselves are not magical, Eliza herself does have a magical power that lets her talk to animals, which I think strict JW parents would ban. And our very last one for today is Yakety Yak, which I know nothing about, even though I used to watch this show all the time. What annoys me is that the yak in Yakety Yak doesn't look like a yak. He looks like a moose. Yaks don't have those kinds of horns. Those are moose horns. Yaks have more like bull horns. So that's annoying. And also, what is this thing? You want to explain that to me? So yeah, talking animal, creepy pineapple dude. Other than that, seems pretty tame. I'ma still say strict JW parents would ban it. So here we have our list. Tell me how you think I did in the comments. Let me know what your personal list would be. And if you enjoyed this, should I do another list with like Cartoon Network or Disney shows? I think that I might have a lot more variation with Cartoon Network shows. And I want to stick exclusively to cartoons for these ones because I wasn't a big fan of almost any of the live action shows, especially not on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network. So, what do you think? Did you enjoy it? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe, please. I would like to at least get to 400 by the end of the year. I'm currently at 386. I think that might change by the time I get this video up because it always does. Let me know. Till then. Till next time. Goodbye.